What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jerome, and I'm coming to you today with the review for The Real Housewives of Dallas Season 3 Reunion Part 1. So, I'm going to start out with where the ladies are sitting at compared to Andy and who I think is the best dressed and who I think is the worst dressed. So, we're going to go from the right side to the left side. So, on the right side, we got Leanne, we got Cameron, and we got Carrie. On Andy's left, we got Deandra, we have Brandy, and we have Stephanie. So, who I think was the best dressed, that one is going to be a toss-up between Stephanie and Carrie, because I really love Stephanie's outfit, and I love what Carrie had on. And next I would say it would be, I like Brandy's outfit, although we saw it at the Orange County reunion with Gina, and we saw Candy wore it on Watch What Happens Live recently. Similar, they all wore something similar. My least favorite outfits are going to go in order, would be Deandra first, then we have Leanne, and then my least favorite of all of them was Cameron, because Cameron looked a hot fucking mess with that hair so poofed up. I'm like, God, like, what is that, helmet on your head? But that was the beginning of it. So now we're going to start to get into the reunion. All right, so the reunion kind of started on a funny note. So we talked about some of the stuff that happened over the season, the funny stuff, like the kangaroo with Stephanie and Brandy. We talked about, I think they showed the K-Cup. I know they showed when they went to the the thing out there in Fort Worth where they rode the bull, and with Cameron. I know they showed that, and then Andy had some questions from the viewers. One viewer asked a question from Stephanie. Well, actually, Andy asked a question, was that kangaroo legal? And Stephanie said she really didn't know if the kangaroo was legal or not. And then, Leanne talking about she lives with a someone who is in the police force, and that, you have to have permits to have a kangaroo, but she doesn't think that that guy had any. Then, someone asked a question of Stephanie, how did Travis like her vagina after she had the vaginal rejuvenation? She said, I think he was just happy to have sex at that, well, not at that point, but I think he was just happy to have sex. And then all the women chime in and say, it's a big difference between when they have the vaginal rejuvenation. And then they and someone asked Andy the question, and tweeted Andy, or was on Facebook, one of the two, asked him the question for Leanne. Has she been, was she a stripper because of the way she danced when she gave Deandra that lap dance? I thought that lap dance was horrible, just being honest. I don't think that was good enough to be a stripper, but if you thought it was, okay. But she said she hadn't been a stripper, but she could be, she said something I really wasn't 100% listening to what Leanne said, because it actually made zero sense to me. So then we move over to, when they were in Beaver Creek, and Leanne and Deandra were arguing about, bitch, who's the queen of the show, or who's the queen of Real Housewives of Dallas. So then they start to talk about it, and Deandra and Leanne both have two different stories about what really happened. Because Leanne is saying that when they were in Beaver Creek, Deandra was saying that if it wasn't for her, that there wouldn't be a Real Housewives of Dallas, and they're not what is the word she said? They're not qualified enough to be housewives of Dallas or something like that. And Deandra says that that's not true, and even Brandy says that that's not true. She says that well, Carrie says that okay, so how it is Brandy on Deandra's side saying that it's not true, and then Carrie is saying, well, it is true because she heard that. So I don't know what the hell to believe. I don't really care what they believe. Like, I don't think any of them are. That whole title of queen is so fucking stupid, to be honest with you. And I have to agree with what Leanne said, because if it were not for the original housewives of season 1, there really wouldn't be, Deandra and what is that girl's name, Cameron, they wouldn't have came on, because they kind of struggled to get a season 2. And they sacrificed a lot of stuff with season 1 and season 2. Because I've heard through the grapevine that they didn't get paid for season 1, and I don't think they got paid for season 2 as well. So I think that's what Leanne meant by the fact that they sacrificed some stuff with the show. So, I think they all bring, their own thing to the show, with the exception of Cameron, you know, and then, yeah. So then, before they go to a commercial break, Deandra said, I've had, this is what they've been planning in the trailer for the reunion. When Deandra said that she's held something back on Leanne for the past 2 years, and she hasn't revealed it until now. So she reveals that when she came onto the show, that Leanne told her, Deandra that is, that when she came on the show, that Carrie was going to fat shame her the same way that she fat shamed Mark. And, Carrie got upset about that, and she went off on Deandra, which I understand that. She's saying that you fat shamed your husband, which I'm not going to say that Carrie fat shamed Mark, but she did talk about his weight season 1. And damn, when they showed that interview from season 1 of Carrie, I'm like, God damn, Carrie has done some major work to her. I know she's cut her hair, but Carrie has done some work to her face. Because she's still beautiful, but season 1 Carrie, I fell in love with that Carrie because she was absolutely stunning and gorgeous, and she still is, but you just see a change in her from season 1 to season 3. Wow. And like I said, Kara's talking about how Mark was a certain weight when she first met him, how he lost weight, and how. So I don't think that she was really necessarily fat shaming Mark. And Leanne says that that's not true, that she never said that. But I can't believe Deandra, because if you remember season 1, Carrie and Leanne were going at it hardcore with each other. So I definitely can kind of see it and believe that, that is something that she said. But, if Leanne said it, she said it. If she didn't, she didn't. It felt like a ring. It felt like I was playing Ring Around the Rosie with this whole reunion. And it just didn't feel like Andy had any kind of control over the girls, because they were talking over Andy like God. All right. So then we get Andy asking, talking about how when it came down to Brandy and Deandra's reconciliation, he was kind of shocked about that, which I think I was a little bit too, because for Deandra to be Leanne's best friend at that time, it was kind of odd to see her reconnect with Brandy. So basically, Deandra says that the reason why she was able to do that is because, when it comes down to Brandy, they are able to have a sense of fun with each other, and that Brandy is able to let loose, unlike some of the other girls, and have fun. Which on the other side of the couch you had, which consisted of Leanne, Cameron, and Carrie. They kind of had their little side comments, but I do agree with her though that when it comes to Brandy does have fun, and she likes to have fun. Also, Stephanie does too. So I definitely get where Deandra came from with that one. Whereas Cameron is so stern and serious, and then cares about her business, which is nothing wrong with that. And then Leanne, I don't see Leanne having nearly as much fun as Brandy and Stephanie. So I definitely got where she was coming from. I absolutely got that. And then we move over to Leanne, and she says she was protecting Deandra, but then when Brandy questions her about, well, what were you protecting her from? She says, well, I can't really say what I was protecting her from. I can't say what she was protecting her from, but I can say that I think Leanne was a little bit jealous of Brandy and Deandra's budding friendship, and she just wanted to say anything that she could to kind of put a wrench in that friendship. If you agree with me, cool. If you don't, we can agree to disagree, but that's just what I think. And then Carrie brings up, well, it's not like you really trust Brandy. She said, you're correct, I don't trust Brandy. And, that could be the reason she just doesn't trust Brandy. So then we move over to the Beaver Creek situation that happened with Cameron, Stephanie, and Brandy when, when Stephanie said, let's not bash the babe, let's not bash her for adopting the babe. Whatever the comment was, I can't remember it at this point. But Cameron finally admits that she got it wrong. Because what Stephanie said is not what Cameron took, which was so fucking stupid. And then, Brandy says that in Beaver Creek, Cameron made her feel like shit. And then once again, Cam is making this about herself. She's like, well, why can you just didn't tell me? The reason why she didn't tell you is because you guys were not friends like that, and it's not your fucking business. Like, why do you feel so entitled to know what's going on with her? Like, that's baffling to me. If you're not that close to somebody, why do you want to know so much about them? Like, I wouldn't really give a shit what you're doing if we're just not that close. Now, if we were like best friends or, acquaintances that talk almost every day, then yes, I would understand that. But that's not what you guys are. Like, I don't get it. And then, Carrie just tells Cameron, why not just say it hurts your feelings? Which that would have been much easier to say, you know what, Brandy, congratulations, but that really did hurt my feelings. And then that could have been the end of it. And then she goes on. Oh, okay. So so a viewer did ask the question, and they want to know what gift. They know what gift Brandy gave to Bruin, but what gift did he give to her? And she says he brought love into her family. And then Andy is talking about Stephanie's part in this adoption, and she tells it again, which you've already heard their story, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. And then they asked the question of how did she come up with the adoption at the party. And she knew that Leanne and D'Angelo were coming, so eventually it was gonna come out right. It was gonna come out anyway. So she just came up off the top of the head and said, she had a surrogate. And then once again, Cameron gets in her feelings about this, and she's talking about how she felt like that wasn't a good joke. It wasn't a joke. She was just trying to throw you off of what was going on. She didn't want to spoil Brandy's surprise. She wanted Brandy to be the one to tell that she was adopting a baby. Like, God, Cameron makes everything about herself. And then, D'Angelo tells her the same thing that I just said a few minutes ago, that it was absolutely none of her business, which is 100% true. It's not your business. Like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like, Cameron is irritating as fuck. And then Andy moves over to Stephanie. He asks Stephanie what motivated her to open up about her past with her issues with depression, the attempted suicide. And Stephanie basically said that the reason she did that was, she felt like Leanne didn't know very much about her, so that was a way of her opening up to Leanne. And she also said that, when she was talking to Leanne, she kind of forgot that the cameras were there. And then, she was talking about how she was ashamed of it, but everyone was telling her, not to be ashamed of it. And then she was also saying that when it came to her parents, she terrified her parents because they would come and stay with her. And then how she felt so much guilt. And then, she's also talking about how she didn't love herself, and she didn't have a lot of self-love. She didn't have a lot of self-love for herself, and she just didn't know who she was. And it's really sad to hear that because, God, that's really sad. Like, I'm hoping Stephanie is in a better, I know she said she is in a better spot, and I know she also did say that, because Andy asked the question, has been on the show helped her or hurt her or pushed her back. And she also did say that, season 1, which I know that was probably hard because a lot of people had a lot of things to say about she and Brandy, season 1, including Leanne. And, she's talking about how reading some of the comments on social media bothered her. And, that's one of the reasons why she had to see somebody go to a retreat. And, Andy asked Brenda, did she know about this stuff? And she said, yes, she did know about all this stuff. And I really do feel bad for Stephanie because I know I've saw some of the comments on Twitter, the way that they talk about each and every one of these girls. And it's horrible. There's some of the things that people say about them. And I don't say anything bad about anybody on Twitter. I just state my opinions, and that's that. I may have said some not so nice things about Cameron, but whatever. I don't care. I don't like Cameron. I don't bash her. I don't talk about her looks or anything. I just talk about her persona, her personality on the show, which is bland as hell. She is annoying as hell. She gets on my nerves. Pretty much some of the stuff that I say in my video, I say on Twitter. So then we move over to Leanne. So Andy asked Leanne what kind of help is she getting. So Leanne says she's seeing 2 therapists and she is doing she does meditation. And then D'Angelo says, well, I didn't know you didn't tell me that you were seeing 2 doctors. And Leanne says, well, we weren't speaking, so why would I tell you? And she says we were speaking for a few months when the show started airing. And then Carrie says that, well, she told me. And then D'Angelo tells Carrie to mind your fucking business. And then, Brandy says that, well, Tiffany said that you're not seeing anybody. And then, Leanne's like, well, I don't believe that because Tiffany has been there and, saw me for a long time see somebody, which is so weird because I was just thinking about this last night. So each and every one of Leanne's friends that have come on this show, she has had some kind of an issue with each and every one of them. First season, it was Marie. She fell out with Marie. And then season 1, she also did fall out with Tiffany at one point, but she and Tiffany made up. And now she's falling out with Deandra. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about Leanne, but like if you're falling out with your friends, like it might be something that you need to take a look into just a little bit. So then a viewer calls bullshit on Leanne talking about this amygdala thing. And then, she was like, well, if you looked it up on Google, and then that gives Deandra free reign to go off and talk about, Google. Like, you can find anything on Google, which that is 100% true. So then Leanne starts to talk about the amygdala, which I called bullshit on. I've heard about the amygdala before, but I still call bullshit on that because it's not a medical. I don't think it's been medically proven. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really say 100%, but I still call bullshit on that. Like, don't blame your anger issues on something else. Like the viewer said, get medication, which I agree with her. Get some fucking medication. Get some Ritalin. Get something. So then Leanne and Deandra start going back and forth with one another, and then Carrie jumps in once again, and she and Deandra go at it again. And Deandra tells Carrie, you haven't had an opinion all season. Now you have one, and that is what's sparked that argument between them. So then Andy says to Deandra, well, he says he feels like Leanne this season has been more restrained. And then Brandy says, yeah, that's for the cameras, but when the cameras are off, she's not. So then Andy goes over to Carrie and talking about the whole situation that happened last season with Leanne and Carrie, talking about how Mark got his dick sucked at the roundup up here in Dallas, and her knowing the boys who did it. So Andy says it felt like Carrie was more receptive to receptive to a relationship with her. And Carrie says actually she was actually more apprehensive about it. And, she was more receptive and apprehensive after. And then she says she knows the person who told Leanne this. And she said it was a disgruntled florist. So then Carrie's talking about how she was pissed off at Leanne. But then we also find out that Leanne and Rich have had dinner with at Carrie and Mark's home, which is really odd to me too. Like, that is odd. And Deandra called bullshit on that. And then Carrie is like telling Deandra that she said something about it too, and Deandra's like, no, I did not. And then she's talking about how she said worse things. So then she says she texts Cameron something. So then Cameron takes out her phone and she gives it to Andy, and Andy reads the text message and they put it on the screen. And I didn't really take what she was saying too bad in the text message really, really badly. Although she did say some stuff about Carrie messing up people's faces, and she knows some people that she's done it to. But Andy did have to point it out that Deandra didn't say it on camera, so she didn't attack their bit, because it was Brandy Land and Carrie's business in there, but she didn't say it on camera, so she really didn't attack their businesses, which Andy is right. So then Deandra takes out her phone and she shows it to Andy, and that text message is not in there. So then Carrie and Cameron are both saying that she could have deleted the text message. And she said Deandra said she didn't delete the text message. And then Leanne says, well, you do have two phones. And Deandra says, I do not have two fucking phones, Leanne. Like, shut the fuck up, basically. And then they start to argue. They talk about call AT&T, and it's like, we are not calling AT&T. And they move on from that. I'm like, what the fuck what are they arguing about? A text message? Like, okay, if you say so. Right, so next we have Andy. He's talking to Leanne about her infinity dress. He is raving about her infinity dress. He's actually saying he likes it better than any of the other ideas from any other housewife. I'm like, Andy, that is some complete bullshit. because the best housewife product that is out there is bedroom candy. Candy may be getting on my nerves this season, but that is like the best housewife product that any housewife has come up with. Like, fuck what you heard. Bedroom candy. I don't have none of that shit, but it's like the best product from any Real Housewives of any franchise. Actually, she's like the only one. Well, she has her Candy has bedroom candy. Portia has her go naked hair. Portia. Cynthia has her eyeglasses and her bags. Let's go to another Beverly Hills. Kyle has her store, which I think is closed. Beverly Hills. That's the only person I can think of is Kyle. New York, Bethany with her skinny girl shit. New Jersey. Melissa with her clothing line. Margaret with her stuff. Orange County. New shit, excuse me. Orange County. I'm drawing a blank. Potomac. Giselle with her makeup. Karen with her perfume. Ashley with that sinking ass restaurant. Okay. Back to the. That's how kind of lackluster this first part of the reunion was. That I'm zoning out on trying to figure out what other housewives have. But like I said, so he asked her, does she have any offers from QVC, HSN? She says no. She says basically what she wants to do is take this 6 months and she wants to be giddy about planning her wedding. And I'm like, okay, Leanne, go ahead and plan your wedding, girl. And they showed that scene where she went wedding dress shopping, which I actually missed that part. That dress that she had on was ugly as hell. Sorry, Leanne, if you're watching the video. Sorry, but the dress was ugly as all of the fuck. So then we move on to, Andy asked Stephanie, early in the season, she said she felt like Leanne was changing. She said she does feel like Leanne changed. But then toward the end of the season, when it came down to her and Brandy, she kind of saw the old Leanne. But she also felt like Leanne was provoked, which I have to agree. Brandy did provoke Leanne, but, it is what it is. Brandy just wanted to show them that the old Leanne was still alive and kicking, which the bitch is. Which I said last week in my review. Leanne is all bark and no bite. Like, Leanne can talk a lot of shit, but I don't think Leanne is about that business at the end of the day. Like, Leanne talks I found in my lifetime that people who talk a lot of shit, who got a big ass bark like Leanne do, cannot fight for shit. They get their asses beat every time. And I saw it happen with somebody that I used to be friends with back in the day. Had a big ass mouth, can talk a lot of shit to you, but when it came down to fighting, I always got that ass beat. So that's how I feel about Leanne. You can agree or disagree, whichever one you want to do. Don't really matter to me, because it's my opinion. So then Andy asked Brandy, did she think that Leanne was going to hit her? And Leanne says the better question is, did she want me to hit her? I don't think that Brandy wanted Leanne to hit her, and I know for a fact Leanne was not going to hit her. And like I said last week in my review, if Leanne had to put her fucking hands on me like that, I would have snatched the bitch by the hair, punched the bitch in the face repeatedly until she was a bloody fucking pulp. I would have told the cameras, fuck you, I'm about to tear this hoe up because this hoe got me fucked up, putting her hands on me. And yes, I call, that's how I talk. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm not calling her a bitch or a hoe. I'm just saying that's how I talk. And, when it comes down to stuff like that, that's how me and my friends and my family talk to each other. Bitches, hoes, and this and this and that. So if you don't like it, I do apologize, but that's just how I talk to people, my friends and family. It might not be the best way to talk to people, but it is how we talk to each other. So, Brandy says that Leanne pissed her off, and, she was basically neutral with her. And then, they were talking about how Brandy got into Leanne's face, which she said, yes, she did get in her face, but she didn't regret it at all, which I'm glad. I'm like, you shouldn't regret it because, hell, what was you supposed to do? Back down to her? Because she was getting loud. And then, Andy's talking about her hissing and was anybody afraid? Fuck no. Like, she can hiss all she wants to. Like I said, Leanne is all bark with no bite. I don't think Leanne is about that business. Like, let's be honest with you. And then Andy asked Carrie, did she feel like Brandy was provoking Leanne? Which she says yes. And then, he asked Stephanie about it. And Stephanie says, Brandy was in her face. But, Leanne was wrong for putting her hands on Brandy, which she absolutely was. But like I said, again, Leanne was not going to do shit to Brandy. Let's just be honest about that. And then, Andy asked who was scared for Brandy, and D'Angelo raised her hand. And, I guess I can see that, but I didn't believe, like I said, I don't believe Leanne was going to do anything to her. I think Leanne was putting on the show for the cameras, if we're being honest. Just being honest. So, then Andy talks about, earlier in the season, he thought that Brandy and Leanne were working towards something. And Brandy says, you know what, I was making an effort with her. And then Leanne asked, well, what set you off? And she said, bitch, what set me off was the fact that you sat there and had a conversation with the fact that you sat there and had a conversation with D'Angelo about me. And that's what it was. And then, Brandy said that I waited for you to have a conversation with you when you were sober. But when, you want to be a bitch at that charity event when Brandy had came there drunk, which I thought that was wrong. I didn't think that was right for Brandy to come there drunk, but that's neither here nor there. But she said she waited until Leanne was sober. So then we get Andy. He asked Leanne about the alcoholic comment. And Leanne says she used a word that she's heard over and over again. And she said that she had a few too many cocktails and she was tired. Like, but that's an excuse for you to say that she's an alcoholic? Like, fuck out of here, Leanne. That is bullshit. And, she says that she doesn't feel like Brandy has a drinking problem. And she understands why Brandy was upset with her. Okay, Leanne. Semantics, like, for real. And she said she was wrong for mentioning that. And then they bring up, what does it mean for, you said that Brandy, because actually my TV cut out, so when it came back in, they were talking about the whole sophisticated comment about Leanne, talking about Brandy was not sophisticated enough to be an alcoholic. She just thinks that she's a drunk. And, she said that she apologized for that, and she gave some kind of bullshit ass excuse. But if anybody watched What Happens Live last week when she was on there with Melissa Gorga, she was talking about she knows people who are alcoholics and they tried to hide it, whereas Brandy is not. So she gave a bullshit ass excuse about why she called Brandy and said Brandy's not sophisticated. So then a viewer asked a question of Leanne. She said in her Bravo blog that when it came down to the conversation with Mama D, she recorded it. So then Andy asked her, did she record that conversation with Mama D? And she says no, that she lied about that. So they're all like, so you lied on your Bravo blog? And she said, well, I'm learning from the rest of the group that I lied. And then, she's talking about how she records other conversations, but she says, it's not with you guys, it's business meetings. And I'm like, Leanne, you are making yourself look bad right about now. So that was the end of part 1. Part 2 is next week. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys later.